Gung Hei Fat Choi! Happy New Year! Lunar New Year. Technically, it was Lunar New Year 2 days ago, but I had work on that day. So my family didn't celebrate until the day after that, which is yesterday. And then obviously yesterday I was too busy celebrating with my family, so I'm making this video today. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Nikki, you should have just made this video earlier. And then you could have uploaded it on the actual Lunar New Year, and that would have made more sense. But you know what that would have required? That would have required for me to plan ahead, which I don't ever do. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to do old school children's arts and crafts. I'm going to make a paper lantern for decoration for the new year, even though the new year was technically 2 days ago. Whatever. People have decorations up late all the time. We still have some Christmas lights up. We still have some decorations up from last year's Lunar New Year. So, who cares? Now I was Googling ideas a week or so ago, and I found this really cool looking lantern that, was like, I think it seems like it was made out of like a whole bunch of little paper, like things that kind of look like flowers, and then they had like little cuts in them, and then they put them all together, like linking them all together or something like that to kind of make a whole like lantern, and the insides had like designs cut out of them and stuff, Chinese characters cut out of them, and it looked really cool. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome, I should do that. But then of course, later on when I tried to find that reference again, I couldn't find it. And I was like, well, maybe I can just make it up by making, so I tried to make these little star things and cut things out of them and try to figure out how they fit together. And frankly, it was really annoying trying to cut out all these tiny little stars. So then I looked up an easier lantern, and I found all these different types of these hongbao lanterns that people make, and I could do that with hongbao, but you know what I'm going to do here right now is show you how to do it with just normal paper in case you don't have hongbao lying around. And also because if it's the first time I'm making this, I kind of want to practice it on normal paper instead of ruining any pretty hongbao. So I have here one piece of red construction paper. This construction paper is like 20 years old. I found it in a drawer when I was trying to clean out a desk that I'm trying to unearth for myself. So yeah, this is literally like 20 years old paper here. I'm gonna use it and I'm gonna make a paper lantern, arts and crafts style. And then maybe if it turns out well, I'll also make one out of hongbao or something for my family for next year. Who knows? Right now we're sticking with this. Okay, so we're gonna start this out by dividing our little piece of paper, and I want 12 rectangles, but I think I might keep a little extra for myself to add some extra decoration at the end. So if I fold this piece of paper in half and in half again, and the third time, fourth time. How many does that give me? So that gives me like 16 little rectangles. So I'm gonna cut out 12 of them. With my child safety scissors. Alright, so here's my 12 little rectangles. Now for each of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold them. I'll make some guidelines. So I'll fold it in half. And then I'll fold it in half the other way. And now I have some crisscross guidelines showing me where the center of each page is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold each corner, I guess, so that at the midpoints of the paper, so that there's a fold going from the middle of the top to the middle of the right. Like that. Open it up again. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. A fold from the middle of the top to the middle of the left. And then a fold from the bottom, the middle of the bottom, to the middle of the left. And from the middle of the bottom to the middle of the right. So now I have like a little diamond shape in here. And I'm going to do that for all 12 pieces of paper. Okay, I have my 12 folded rectangles, and now, you know what? I think the finished result of the lantern would look really cool if they had all these intricate designs cut out of them, you know? But, I don't feel like doing that. So, a gold pen! Yay! I can maybe draw stuff on here, decorate them, the centers of the diamonds or something. That's where, like, you know, in the Hongbao versions, this part would be maybe the part that has all the gold designs on it and stuff. Now, I could write Chinese characters on here or something. It's probably what most decorations look like. But I'm not going to do that because I can't actually write Chinese. I don't know Chinese. I only know English. And if I tried to write a Chinese character on here, it would be really deformed and probably illegible, and Miko would judge me. And I'm not going to cut stuff out of it either. Right now, maybe someday, I'll have the patience to do that, and I'll make a nicer version of this lantern for my family. Maybe you'll even see it. For now, I think I'll just, let's see, maybe, it's gonna go this, like that. You know, I think maybe I'll just kind of draw a little gold on the edges or something of this, one here. Can kind of make it all festive this way. Okay, these are my funny little decorated rectangles. These are very simple decoration I did. I just kind of put some gold stripes on the one side, on the back, and then inside the diamond on the front, I put a little Mickey Mouses because it's the year of the rat. So why not make little Mickey Mouses? Obviously, if you are doing this little thing yourself, you can make it nicer than my crookedly cut, awkwardly scribbled things. Anyway, so the basic idea is that you take these rectangles, right? And you have your fold that you made for the diagonals. And what you do is you kind of put two of these sides together, right? Just like that. And now the videos I watched and stuff of people making these Hongbao lanterns involve them stapling. They would staple here at the crease to make them stick together. And I was kind of like, what? Stapling? But then you have an ugly staple in your lantern. I mean, it probably gets hidden later, but, you know, I don't really like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little safety scissors again, and I'm gonna cut about along the crease, about halfway up on one, and then same thing on the other, but I'm gonna start from the other side. So one of them I'm coming up from the bottom, and one of them I'm coming down from the top. And then I can just slide them together, and boom, attached at that little thing. No staples required. And yeah, they're a little loose, but whatever. It's fine. I'm gonna try it out and we'll see if it works properly. And maybe it won't. Maybe it'll look awful in the end. And I will have learned my lesson that I should have used staples. But for now, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to put like 6 of them together like this. So this is 2, right? And I'm gonna have another one here, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a 6th. So I'm gonna continue my little cutting crusade. I think I'm gonna try to keep this consistent, maybe like, yeah, on this one I'll come up from the bottom as well, maybe, towards the middle. And this one I'll come down from the top. Slide that together. And so on and so forth. So this is like a top layer. And now I'm going to make a bottom layer. So here's the idea. For these, I'm going to attach them to each other at the bottoms the way that I did with those other guys at the tops. Right? So I'm gonna cut up and down, maybe like this. But then I'm also going to be attaching these to my little tops here, in between each. So if I cut I'll cut the right side up and the top side down. And on this, I'll cut the right side up and the top side down. So I'll slide one into this one into this one. Okay. And this guy will go next door to this one over here. And these bottoms attach to each other. Just like that. You can see it's sort of forming like a little ball almost. So I'm going to keep on doing that. If I can try to cut these properly this time. This one is cut like this so that this one goes in here like this. Making sure not to just straight up lose track of where you are and what you're doing the way I am. Maybe stapling would have been better after all. Okay, I'm gonna tape these together underneath because I can't keep track of the shit. It's all falling apart. Oh. These are two that are cut really badly right next to each other, aren't they? I have both the bottoms cuts, which means I need the tops to be cut on this. See, this is how it gets all messed up, is I don't keep the cuts consistent, and then I end up having things like this where I'm cutting a whole diamond out when ideally I should have like one coming from each side, I think, to make it less likely to just fall apart. So, you know, be consistent with your cuts instead of just piecing together random pieces wherever they go, like me, and then ending up with a huge mess that you have to tape together to keep it from falling apart. It's a good thing I'm doing this on a piece of construction paper instead of the fancy hung bow, isn't it? Alright, that's a little messy, but this is my little ball so far. And what I'm going to do to make it look slightly more put together is now all these little folds of paper I have, I'm going to kind of fold them over so that they go together. And I'm realizing now that I colored the wrong side of the sides earlier, so hopefully you weren't following along step by step with this or any bullshit. When I drew those stripes earlier, I should have drawn them on the other sides, because I'm folding these over to fold in on themselves. And the videos and stuff had the staple here too. I don't want staples, like I said, so I think I'm going to glue this. Heat up my handy dandy glue gun. In the meantime, I'm going to take that extra paper that I reserved from the corner of the page, and I'm going to make myself a fun little thing that I want to dangle under it, like an extra thing. So I think I'm going to make this into some sort of 8-pointed star, because 8 is a great number, right? So let's see. I already have kind of 2 folds on here for the top and bottom. I'm just going to fold it a few more times to make myself guidelines to know where the 8 is. So let's see if I divide them in the corners. And then divide each of these little sections in half with each other, maybe. Alright, so I've got my thing divided into a whole bunch of lines, and then if I take each of these corners and I sort of fold them so that where the lines on either side have the edges, like so. So right corner, if I go to the fold on either side of it, where that edge meets the paper is where I'm folding. And thus I end up with a sort of octagon. And now what I'm going to do is basically cut little U's or something into these to make each of these 8 points the points of my star. I'll make it like a rounded thing. And I end up with my little 8-point star looking thing. So I think I will cut out a little decoration of this, maybe. Since it's the year of the rat, I'm gonna draw the Jackie Chan Adventures rat talisman. Now, obviously, I had to make it Jackie Chan Adventures. I've actually been thinking about Jackie Chan Adventures lately, because in the recent DC television show crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths, they actually did this thing where there was like this book of destiny that friggin' Lex Luthor wrote in and changed history or something. And I was like, oh man, this is just like that episode of Jackie Chan Adventures. My mom was looking at me like I was crazy. Oh. I had a different color lead in there. Whatever. It's just a pencil. Let's see. So the leg kind of goes here, and then maybe there's another leg sort of like here. And this part is how the tail looks. Jackie Chan Adventures Talisman has the power of animation. Remember, they animated like an entire cart full of Super Moose. Da, 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 da. I'm Super Moose. I think that was his name anyway. Let's see, this is like the rat's ear. And we got its eye. And a little snout. And whiskers. That's about what it looks like. So I am actually going to cut this out maybe. It'll just look a little fancier that way when it's dangling there. I have a dream of one day making physical versions of the Jackie Chan Adventure talismans. Like plaster casting them or something. I have no idea how to do that though. Someday I'll learn. Jackie Chan Adventure rat talisman carving. Maybe I'll add a little other decoration to this. Let's see. I'll put some of the octagon lines from the edge of the talisman maybe. Making sure not to cut out an entire octagon out of here, because then the entire thing will just fall out of the center. Same rules as when you use stencils in letters, right? Can't actually have any of your things connecting. Or like cookie cutters or whatever. If you cut out the letter O, you can't have the circle connected properly like that, because it'll just be a hole instead of having the little inner circle still there. Obviously this is not very fancy, I'm just kind of eyeballing this entire thing. It's good for like maybe a day or two of decoration, but it's probably not really a long-term decoration, this weird little thing I'm making. I'll add a little intrigue. Add some diamonds at the points or something. This is like the laziest paper craft ever. You know, usually when kids make paper snowflakes, they at least fold them so that their cuts all end up looking symmetrical and pretty. It's alright. My hot glue is hot now, so we'll go back to my little ball. So I have these little flaps of paper everywhere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them around my little diamonds with the Mickey Mouses, and I'm going to fold them over, and then I'm going to kind of glue them together. I'm starting to think maybe I should have done 5 feet anyway. Maybe it matters what the ratio of the rectangles is? That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Physics was never my strong suit. I took some sort of, like, non-science physics class in high school. You know, they have the smart classes and then they have the dumb classes. or we're not supposed to call them that, the honors classes and the regular classes. So I took regular physics and it was a joke. We were always just doing crossword puzzles with the same clues all the time, and they were always things like, when objects move, time slows down, which was so, like, the concept, I think, was something about, like, moving really fast in relative time or something like that, or, like, and that's why there's that whole thing about, people in space, like, less time passes for them or something because they're moving so fast or something along those lines. I feel like I just said. That's like one of those things where it's like, you've just taken a fact that's famously wrong and gotten it wrong. And yet, you didn't make it right. Anyway, so I'm kind of making these little arches, as you can see. And this is where I messed up earlier because I was drawing those stripes along the outsides, and I was hoping that these would then end up gold striped. But instead the stripes ending up on the inside because I drew on the wrong side of the paper. Anyway. Well, if I do this, it's going to cover up Nikki. This one's not. Maybe it's just because I cut these so unevenly. This is a bit of a disaster, isn't it? It's a good thing this is like a practice one, I guess. Maybe I'll try again sometime and I'll make it look better than this. Anyway, here's my little lantern. There's a little Mickey Mouses and hot glue strands all over it. My rat, maybe I'll dangle from the bottom. Hold on a second. String, embroidery thread, whatever this is. It's like that string that people would use for like, those bracelets, friendship bracelets. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to kind of just drop this in here. And I want this not to fall back through the top. If I had done this better, this part might be tighter and just a knot would be able to hold it in place. But as it is, there's a huge gap. So maybe I'll just glue it. This is quickly becoming a very messy sort of arts and craft. Bottom. I'll also glue the bottom. Luckily, paper is very light. This part I'll put on the top of my little rat. Somehow. I'll stick it through my little diamond here. And I'll tie a knot. And this, I think I'll make a little tassel, just a little one. So I'll take a bunch of my string, I'll fold it in half a bunch of times. One end I'm going to tie off into a knot, if I can. Oh gosh. There we go. This end that I just made, a little loop out of tying the knot off, I'm gonna cut in a little piece of string. So I'll have one end going through this little loop. And I'll also stick it through my little diamond at the bottom of my little rat pit thing. So I'll tie that together. This is very messy. This definitely looks more like a 5-year-old's arts and craft project than a 29-year-old's. Alright, it's tied together. Maybe I'll kind of snip off the edges of this knot a little bit so it's not so long. this end of my tassel, I'm gonna cut the loopy parts to make it a little tassel like that. And da-da-da, here's my sad little paper lantern. The wrap part is bigger than the lantern is. It's very messy. But that was an effort. That was a fun experience, wasn't it? And maybe I'll try again sometime and I'll make one that looks nicer than this does. Anyway, that's all for now, gang. Ta-ta!